So Robyn, you dedicated a lot of newsprint to the Rob Ford story as it was breaking, as it was happening. What made you think that this was worthy of a book-length treatment? What are you going to get to explore here that you couldn't as you were doing it as it happened?
It was such a great feeling of catharsis, if that's a bad word, right word, because I've been covering this guy since January 2010, and I've been on this investigation since the end of 2011, and along the way you pick up details and pieces of information that are really important that help me understand who Rob Ford is, but I can't necessarily share those in the paper because they don't fit with a news article. And especially when you get down to more serious subjects around things that have happened in his family, it's especially hard to put that in sort of a 1,000-word news article. These are details that really need the context and a sensitive treatment. So getting to spread that out over 90,000 words was really great. I think one thing that I tried to show with the book was the fact that a lot of people think Rob Ford is dumb and that he's just sort of like bumbling along through his political career. You don't become mayor of Toronto. Like, ask George Smitherman or John Tory. That's a hard job to get. You don't rise to this level by guessing. I think that he is quite calculated in many of the things that he does. If not consciously, it's just intrinsic with him. And so in terms of the whole book, my most favorite detail that I uncovered on the way, which I thought just told me so much about the Fords and the Ford family and Rob Ford, was this idea that the dad hooked all the kids up to a lie detector test.
That's the best. I really liked that.
Yeah, like when money went missing. And I mean, that was one of those moments when I found that out. I was like, are you kidding me? Just bananas. I think so many people can't relate to that idea that, one, your dad would have access to someone who administers lie detector tests.
And $20,000 squirreled away in his basement.
Yeah,
also,
at least. And I kind of fudged the number there, but like it's like a lot of money hidden in the basement in a tin can. And like that's so interesting too. It tells you about the Fords and their relationship with money. These were millionaires, but he grew up in the Depression, and it seemed like I read that as if everything hits the fan, he's got this cash, this emergency money. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting.
There's certainly no shortage of jaw-dropping moments over the course of this circus. Was there one that stands out to you where you were you just bowled over?
The crack video bowled me over. There's no other way to say it. I was prepared for what I would see, but actually seeing it, it's like this guy that, you know, these dealers had always said, oh, it's definitely Rob Ford. It's perfect quality, it's not grainy, it's in the sunshine, he's smoking on a crack pipe. That's what the video is. And I was like, okay, well, let's see. And then it's like, oh my God. Like, the other big detail that I guess was surprising to me, but more of an ethical dilemma, was the tape of his wife, which has gotten some news coverage. This idea that she had been secretly recorded talking to a former addict about her husband's issue with drugs. I won't say addiction. Issues with drugs, and that she was, like, the foreshadowing of it. She's saying things like, we're public figures now, this is gonna ruin his whole life, like he's gonna get found out. And he says to her, well, I'll give up the pills, but I'm not gonna give up the blow. The fact that they've had this conversation after he was elected and he chose this sort of brazen lifestyle anyway, we could see that again duplicated this last year. So the crack video story is out, and then you can see from the police investigation that he's still doing all of these odd things with Sandra Lisi, an alleged drug dealer, these weird package handoffs and meetings, and there's obviously been more videos of him looking impaired on something, and this kind of brazen hubris.
As a journalist, usually you want to distance yourself from what's happening, you kind of want to be just an observer, and yet you get pulled in and become not an actor of a sort. What was that like for you?
Yeah, that's been really weird and difficult. Long before the crack video story broke, I was drawn in as a character because the Fords, unlike anyone you've ever covered before, do that. They go on their weekly radio show all the time and say, Robyn Doolittle is stalking my 80-year-old mother. Robyn Doolittle, which is not true. Robyn Doolittle, in case it needs to be
I don't know, that's he said, she said.
No, I know, that's the thing. Robyn Doolittle is in the bushes outside my cottage. Robyn Doolittle is following us to the grocery store, and like they'll say my name, and then people will look me up and then call me in the middle of the night and be like, how dare you stalk his 80-year-old mother? And it's like, what? Anyway, and so, and it's not just me they do this to, they also were doing it to my colleague Daniel, but it was mainly me and Daniel for a long time. And so you do kind of get sucked into this story.
What do you hope that, whether they are left-wing kooks or Ford Nation, that people reading this book take away?
I think with Ford, so much of his defense is that people are out to get me because I'm a right-wing conservative and I want to stop the gravy train. And what I try to show in the book is it's nothing to do with that. It's about the fact that this guy seems to be hanging out with gang members who are, according to the police, smuggling guns into the city. That he's hanging out with criminals, one of whom is caught up in an extortion case relating to his crack video. That he's opened himself up to blackmail. That you can't have leaders in a city engage in that kind of lifestyle. This guy has a say over the police budget.
And so to finish, who would you like to play Robyn Doolittle in this film?
I get asked that all the time. There's just no way for me to answer that without sounding like a complete jerk. Like, there's just not.